Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. First things first, let's take a quick look at the general market overview for the week. Pretty similar to yesterday. We're starting to see these red weekends return. Pretty similar to the US equity markets. There's obviously strong correlations between the US equity markets and the crypto markets in general. However, a lot of this is being exacerbated by the struggle between Ukraine and Russia. Obviously, it's dragging a lot of the global powers at B into it. Not only that, it's spooking the markets because the repercussions are incredibly serious. However, we are seeing the potential for Russia to begin withdrawing from the Ukrainian border, which would be fantastic, and we should start to see some bullish momentum return to the markets as the fear languishes. As I've said before in previous videos, this is always a good chance to DCA in as the markets go quiet and you enter these red periods. These are really accumulation zones if you believe in the future. Buy on red days, sell on green days is a good piece of token advice for anyone. Nevertheless, let's move on. One of the main things I wanted to touch on in this video today is Agryo is now using Hedera. So Agryo connects small and medium-sized farmers to financial lenders through the use of transparent data. So population in 2050 is expected to be around 10 billion. 70% of the food supply is required, and there are 500 million underserved farmers. Agryo has basically turned around and said Hedera is integral to our commitment towards sustainable agricultural practices and creating financial access for underserved farming families. So the industry being agriculture, the challenge being that the world between remote farmers and banking is disconnected with a lack of trust, minimizing the opportunity for farmers to take advantage of loans for greater predictability. The solution being Agryo provides data-driven prediction models to provide lenders with more informed decisions using a decentralized network. This data can be more readily verified and trusted over time. This is a great use case again for Hedera. There've been plenty that I've covered on this channel in the past, but they just continue to get better and better over time. As the population increases, a growing problem in agriculture is opening financial markets to small and medium underserved farmers. To meet a 70% increased demand in 2050, Agryo aims to better connect these two groups by providing accurate information from farmers to lenders that's easy to understand and easier to buy stake in. So the whole idea of Agryo effectively is to utilize and leverage the Hedera hash graph algorithm in order to fix this asymmetry of information between small farmers and the financial ecosystems via decentralized data. Now, this is a real world use case, and actually there's been plenty of economic papers with similar use cases in the past to solve issues like this. And the reason this is really powerful, if I flip over to here, this was an article, it was actually an economic paper published in the journal by Ruben Abraham, and it talks about the evidence from the fishing industry in India, and there's been plenty of other use cases like this, not blockchain related, but information asymmetry related in developing third world markets. So there is considerable speculation about the correlation between investments in telecommunications and economic development, yet there's been very little research on whether there is a connection between information and communication technologies and economic growth, and if indeed a connection can be established, how it works. Vast populations in developing countries live in rural areas and are subject to various highly inefficient markets. Mobile phones, by virtue of their role as carriers and conduits of information, ought to lessen the information asymmetries in markets, thereby making rural and underdeveloped markets more efficient. This article tests this assumption by creating a case study or using a case study from India. Anyway, what the general notion of this information asymmetry is that you've got these fishermen that are effectively out on the coast, because they don't understand the current state of the market, how many other trawlers have taken their fishing loads back to the docks or marinas. They don't know what the demand is for their fish. And what this effectively leads to is massive wastage. So they either come in too late or too early, and majority of their catch gets wasted. These papers effectively gave all of the fishermen telecommunications as well as the docks, and this enables this relay of information between the fishermen at sea and the dock to effectively communicate the best time to drop off their catch. This reduces wastage and improves the efficiency of the market exponentially. Like I said, plenty of different economic papers on this topic, but this is what we're seeing play out now on a grander scale utilizing blockchains or hash graph technology. And that's what Agryo is attempting to solve, this information asymmetry between financial markets and underserved farming regions, enable them to better access the services they require to meet the increased demand as time goes on. So absolutely massive use case, very similar to what we've seen in the past. For example, like I said, this paper here with ICTs and economic growth in general, pretty big for Hedera in general, which is fantastic. And the next thing I wanted to touch on as well is SaucerSwap. So in a previous video, I mentioned about the concerns around SaucerSwap and the announcement, just due to the nature they're fully anonymous and non-doxed. Well, it looks like a lot of the concerns have been heard by the team at SaucerSwap. They've released an announcement saying we have decided to delay our NFT sale by 1 week. The date of the sale will be pushed back to the 1st of March. There have been some concerns around the anonymity of the team. We hear you, therefore we will be doxing the founding members of our team this week. There will be an AMA in our Discord. Now this is really good for SaucerSwap in general, and also to settle some of the nerves around the project. And this should help their launch be as big as we hope it to be, as this will be the first DEX on Hedera. So big news there. I'll continue to cover this as more information comes out. However, hopefully we hear some good information back from this AMA in Discord, and we get a lot of the questions answered that we're looking to solve. One of the other things as well is, again, the Motley Fool releasing another article on Hedera and effectively comparing it to the next kind of 100x coin. So I think the article title was looking for the next Shiba Inu, check out these two cryptocurrencies. I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of the Motley Fool's articles. There's a lot of hopium and nonsensical arguments half the time. However, it's nice to see the exposure for Hedera in general. So Native Token is another anti-meme coin of sorts. If you think Hedera has a blue chip connection, you'll probably be blown away by Hedera's ties. Touched on this before, the governing council is ridiculous. Hedera is owned and governed by 26 larger organizations, including Alphabet, Boeing, and IBM. Plenty of others on there. Check out Hedera's website. Hedera is obviously a proof of stake protocol, which is the future. We all know what proof of work does. Look at Ethereum. Some proof of stake blockchains are susceptible to security issues. Not the case with Hedera Hashgraph, as it has ABFT, as well as the finality in which was touted as 3 to 5 seconds. However, as I covered in the previous video, majority of the nodes are now offering finality in around 3 seconds or less. Transaction fees are dirt cheap, around 1,000th of a cent, and it's also incredibly energy efficient. Great article for Hedera in general and nice exposure. The last thing I wanted to touch on was some more tweets from Blockworks. Covered them a few times in the channel in the past. Just again, sort of general macro oversight of the markets. So Kevin O'Leary, Bitcoin will hit $300,000 when institutions start buying it. Again, general macro foresight here that as we see institutions and governments in general come on board, for example, El Salvador legalizing it as a national tender, we will start to see these crypto markets explode. Not only that as well, another great tweet from them is the acceptance of Dogecoin at a supercharger station with obviously Tesla. So Elon Musk has plans to create futuristic diner drive-in theaters for Hollywood's supercharged areas, and of course to accept Dogecoin at a supercharger station. Now obviously this project is a complete meme project. However, again, if we can see meme projects that are getting accepted by large institutions and organizations on a global scale, there are genuine projects with massive use cases which will begin to follow suit, Hedera being one of them. So again, this is just fantastic news in general for the crypto space, that we are starting to see acceptance across the board, even if it is meme coins that are being accepted as payment. Anyway guys, that was kind of it for this update video. A bit thin on the ground recently, naturally, with the sort of depressed prices we're seeing across the equity markets. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like, drop a comment, interact with it. I will have some more news in the future regarding the NFT announcement, if it comes to fruition. Anyway guys, cheers for watching. Catch you on the next one.